Anyway, Silver talks about a chemical plant sometime in the original character Green Hill level, and if we get Green Hill and chemical plant in both of these anniversary games, I'm gonna lose my shit. That will not be okay, no matter what cockamamie theme is flung behind it. That's extremely uninventive.
Oh boy, I sure do love listening to my favourite YouTuber.
Oh boy, how's going on here?
What's going on?
Well, you see, Big Girls, just moments ago, I took just a giant dump, just a massive, just a colossal.
Get on with it.
Anyway, now it's gone. Just poof,
Poof.
poof. And I didn't flush or anything. I guess you could say I kind of just lost my shit.
Living in the city.
It's like a roller coaster.
Sonic Forces. Wow. I just want to preference. I want to start off this video by saying, if this is your first ever Sonic game, maybe you've only played Sonic 1, maybe Sonic 2, this game it's fine, it's okay, it's adequate. But if you're like me, and you've been with Sonic from the very start, and you've played them all, you've played Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic & Knuckles, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Colors, and especially Sonic Generations, well, fuck, this game isn't very good, is it? Now, I have a lot to say about this game, more so than Mania at least. That's why I still haven't done a video on that. I mean, you already know what I'm gonna say, the same old schlock as everyone else. Oh, the game is good. Oh, I wish there were more original stages. Oh, Metal Sonic's fight can suck my schlong. Oh, there's a secret final boss if you collect all the emeralds. What, you don't think I knew that already? I knew that the day the game came out because people couldn't seem to resist the urge to keep it out of their fucking thumbnails. Alright, so let's start off with the story, then we'll go into the gameplay, then we'll go into the levels, and then I don't know, we'll do something, okay? It's probably gonna get real messy real fast. There's gonna be tangents flying everywhere. The story in Sonic Forces really had some potential. I mean, a world where Eggman had finally conquered the whole world and Sonic and its team has gotta go save it, consisting of himself and himself. Oh boy, classic Sonic again. Sure do love him being where he shouldn't be. Please leave. But Sonic, along with himself, has to go up against a brand new villain, Infinite. But of course he can't do this alone. I mean, if two of the same person counts as one. But he also has a brand new teammate that joins in the fight, that being himself? What? Yeah, creating OCs is now a thing in a Sonic game, and I would say this is mainly for the kids, but I will admit that when it was announced, I was surprised and a little more excited than I should have been for this edition. It's a hell of a lot better and inventive than just shoving in classic Sonic again, but we'll get to you, you pudgy piece of shit. Silver's here. Holy shit, how did he get here? Well, don't bother asking because it's never explained in-game. There are some comics from the Sonic social media which explain some events before the game, like Silver's return to the past, Infinite's origin, and this guy's cannon skills or something. I'm not sure what the point of this one was. But here's my question. Why doesn't Silver just go back before Eggman birthed Infinite from his eggy loins? Before he found the Phantom Ruby, which by the way isn't explained in this game either. You gotta go out of your way to read the comics for that. And even then, it's just kind of on the ground there. Did the writers even try? So Eggman's got a brand new crew consisting of himself, Infinite, Shadow, Metal Sonic, Chaos, and Zavok. They presumably kill Sonic, while Tails does absolutely nothing because who cares about character consistency, am I right? But it turns out Sonic isn't dead, he's just been locked up in the Death Egg where Eggman's been
Torturing him for months.
Oh yeah! That's good! Now Sonic, who looks none worse the wear, I think that whole torture thing was a translation error or something, defeats his captor, Zavok, who looks mighty alive despite him dying back in Lost World, escapes the Death Egg and reunites with his team. Except for Tails, who was once again being a little bitch, presenting his ass cheeks to Chaos as an offering. You beat Chaos 4! What are you doing? Classic Sonic saves Tails after exiting through a portal, presumably the same one from Mania, and together they... You know what, I don't even remember what the hell they were meant to be doing. That's how insignificant they are in the grand scheme of things. They learn Sonic's alive later on and meet up back with him in the gang, but other than learning that Eggman's rehashing Metal Sonic's plan from Heroes, there's really nothing significant happening here. Meanwhile, Sonic runs into Discount Mephiles, clones and all, and we go through some levels, nothing really happens, and to be honest, I don't really care. The writers didn't seem to, so why should I? We get the whole 6 months of Eggman's takeover explained in a fucking text box. If the story is gonna rush itself, why shouldn't I? If you're going for a more epic story this time, you should really consider putting some effort in. To be honest, I didn't care really what happened next. I wasn't looking forward to the next cutscene. I was just kind of forcing myself to watch the cutscenes so I can just get the footage for the video. Infinite's really not that interesting. He's just kind of generically evil. Eggman, well, he's Eggman. Apparently he's using the Phantom Ruby to create clones of the 4 villains we see in the cutscene where Sonic gets his ass kicked. I mean, Sonic's still a blabbermouth who just kind of stands there doing nothing but flapping his lips while all the villains are moving into place for the trailer footage. Tails is a whiny child with no redeeming aspects. Forget about his character development, but weirdly enough, it's Shadow who's improved the most here. He's still not up to par with Heroes, of course. That's where I believe he was at his best.
Shall we get going? No need to rush.
If that doesn't turn you on, I don't know what will. But here at least he sounds a little snarky and confident. Both aspects of Shadow I think was stomped on after what happened with his game in 06. I still think he talks a little too slowly, but honestly, I can imagine him doing the Adventure 2 Faker scene and still being pretty happy with it. Then I imagine Roger doing it alongside him and I cringe a little inside. I still personally think that Boom is the best for this particular set of voice actors. I can't name a single one who doesn't do a good job in Boom, but something about the main series is just off. I think the main problem is the writing. Boom has really good writers, and this game, well, it doesn't. But I do plan on doing a big look at all the voice actors a little later on, so I'll save my thoughts for then. So skipping through a bunch of boring stuff, Infinite makes a giant sun, Sonic and friends fight a bunch of fakers. Infinite just kind of goes away, and after one last boss, we do with classic Sonic what we should have done a long time ago and
Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me!
Cheer up, Tails. I'm sure we'll run into him again.
we'd better not. Now I just kind of skipped over most of the cutscenes there and a lot of the plot points, if you can call them that. But mainly that's because A, I don't really care, and B, I have a lot to talk about when it comes to the other stuff of this game. The game starts you off in Green Hill. Hey, G-Source, RadicalSoda here. Now, I don't hate Green Hill, or should I say, I didn't. Because I do now. Green Hill and Generations was fine. Discount Green Hill and Lost World, I could look past. Green Hill and Mania is pushing it, but in that particular case it was safe thanks to good level design and new ideas within the level. Green Hill and Forces, however, is like taking a big old dumper-rooney on Generations and then selling it as a new game. I don't mind linear levels, I don't mind when there's only one path to the goal, I don't even mind reusing level themes as long as they're inventive new takes on them. But here's what I do mind. Automation throughout an entire level. A linear stage with invisible walls where there shouldn't be any. A shorter, less detail take in an old level lacking any imagination or creativity. There are no enemies related to Green Hill here, just these new egg pawns which do literally nothing aside from stand there. Actually, these 4 robots here, you see them? Seen throughout the entire game, and it's not something I'm too upset about. Heroes had that too, it had specific enemy types, but at least they mixed up the aesthetics of the egg pawns between the levels. There's a big worm from Lost World who somehow got here, I guess, but that's never seen again. And oh boy, do I love these invisible walls! Also, you can finish the level in 1 minute. 1. How easy does the first level have to be? Someone actually figured out that after this first hop here, you can beat the level only using the boost button. You don't even have to move anything but the analog stick forward for the first 30 seconds, depending on if you attack the enemies or not. But you know how long it takes you to mess up if you try this shit in Generations? 5 seconds! In my opinion, this is the biggest middle finger. It's just how the game plays itself. I'm not steering Sonic here, I'm just pushing forward on the stick. He's doing this all on his own. This game has been automated up the arse. When you're in 3D, there's a 99% chance what you're doing is automated in some way. This game will push you around corners. It will speed you up even if you jumped over the boost pads. It will auto-drift you around corners. It will keep you running like a Mach speed section, but now you're only able to quick step. It will cap your speed because Sonic controls like shit in 3D. And there's more, and we'll get to it. Oh well, we will. But for now, we're in Green Hill, the best Sonic level, so let's take a look at Sonic's moves. Or lack thereof. Let's start off with the most crucial part of Sonic's kit, his run. It controls, like I said before, similar to one's ass. Sonic no longer has a smooth acceleration. Instead, it seems they decided to take the system from one of the best-selling Sonic games, Sonic 666. You see, in this game, Tails will jog for a small while and then shoot off at full speed in a microsecond. Sonic Team must have really enjoyed this game because the same thing happens here. Slowly accelerating and then boom, it's so disorienting, especially when you're trying to make a jump. It's also really hard to get any good footage of this happening because of all the boost pads and scripted sequences. It's really obvious when you're playing the game, but a little harder to notice from the gameplay alone. However, I did notice it in the early demos, although nobody else, at least as far as I was aware, pointed it out. I thought they might fix it in the full version, but I didn't have high hopes for that. It's really, really noticeable in Chemical Plant, though. Look at this! Look at this! So Sonic's jump, gone is his short spurt from Generations, now replaced with the double jump from Colors, although it barely makes any height, so I'm assuming it was intended for horizontal platforming. Only problem there is in 3D, Sonic controls even worse in the air, so it doesn't even matter. And mentioning 2D, you're only going to be doing vertical platforming here, really, due to the fact that you can't see shit coming up ahead because it's 2D! The thing is, though, Sonic doesn't lose any speed when jumping. In Generations, heck, even Adventure, Heroes, etc., you lost some speed when jumping to make it easier to platform, or just, so you couldn't shoot off into space. You can do that here, and it's buggy as all balls, because everything is automated as hell, so while you're speeding through the level just with little to no control, the game's trying to keep you on a set path, and it's messing everything up. You can also homing attack, but gee whiz, I hate it here. For one, Sonic only targets things directly in front of him, making the Zavok fight an absolute chore, but you also have no way to choose which enemy you'll be attacking. For example, here in Airgate, you want to go the fast way, right? So in order to do that, you've got to homing attack this enemy to the left. Easy! You get half a second to register the homing attack icon before it switches to something else or nothing at all, and the analog stick doesn't do a bloody thing. More often than not, I die here because I just want to go the fast route. Not that the level in itself isn't fast, you only get to play for 1.5 minutes before it goes to the 20-second long QuickTime event. But hey, he can still boost, right? Yes, of course, you can't have a modern Sonic game without the boost, silly. And it's just like to jump all over again. Heck, you can fucking fly with this thing. Sure, it's fun, but in a game as automated as this, it's not worth a damn. The boost solely exists for you to plow through enemies who do nothing set up in a line in front of you, plain and simple as that. I still don't know whether they intended it to be so floaty and overpowered, but my guess is no. You can get more boost by destroying enemies or picking up Wisp capsules. Where's the continuity? If you're gonna give Sonic a set world to run around and where Green Hill is around every corner, that's fine, whatever. But at least tell us how Sonic boosts, alright? I mean, is it rings?
Damn.
So, is it the Wisps then?
Damn.
So please, just make up your mind and just figure something out. Or you can just get rid of the boost. I mean, at this point, it'd be really nice to be able to actually control Sonic in a level for once. Or you could just make a full 3D game, that'd be nice. I mean, it's only been like 11, 12 years since the last 3D Sonic game, so... Sonic can also stomp, which now has the impact sound when you press the button as opposed to when you actually hit the ground. Okay, still not patched, but whatever. And the slide, which you'll do if you're still holding the stomp button when you hit the ground, which is quite annoying. And boy howdy, this thing is slippery. Sonic suddenly gains momentum from nowhere and just slips on downhill, gaining speed, almost as if he was rolling. So that's cool. Sonic also has the Quick Step, which isn't used for quickly dodging around obstacles in a level. More so it's used so Sonic Team can create blander, straighter, more linear levels where all you do is press left and right. You can't even move during these sections. The analog stick will just make you Quick Step. That's just pathetic. And then Sonic has the... Oh wait, no, that's it. That's all his moves. No light speed dash, no trick system, no blue tornado, no wisp power-ups, no spin dash, no drift, no crawl, no bounce, no wall jump. Wait, no, the custom character does have that. In one level. No triangle jump, no running on walls, no climbing ledges, no power-ups, no upgrades. He doesn't even have a grind hop like in Generations. He can crouch on them, sure, but that doesn't do anything. You know, I'll give them credit for one thing. Sonic Team really tried to mix Colors with Generations here to make a game. The only problem with that being is that they took the worst parts from each game. They've got classic Sonic, a rushed story, and a lack of new levels from Generations, and the linear level design, oversaturation of 2D sections, wisps, and the removal of Sonic's old moves from Colors. And here's the kicker. Sonic's actually got less moves and forces than he did in Colors. In that game, there was at least a reason, using the Wii mode as a controller, which has like 3 buttons, but in Forces, you can't even drift. Drifting! You know, the thing that you would use to go around corners because Sonic controlled like arcs when you're not going in a straight line? And guess how turning is handled in Forces? That's right! Automation! How fantastic! Hold forward at 90% of 3D sections and Sonic will just move himself around the curves. Who wants to, play the game? That's stupid! And around the corners he doesn't do that? Never fair! Even if holding forward won't get you around the corner, just hold down the stick in the general direction you want to go. No skill required because it's still fucking automated! And that's Sonic. When he's not in 2D, he's automated up the arse. Now, why do I play Sonic? For the 3D. And this is by far the crappiest modern Sonic. Actually, I would go out of my way to say this is the crappiest 3D Sonic control scheme we've ever received, including Sonic the Hedgehog 06. At least in 06, I felt like I was controlling Sonic. Sonic in this game controls like ass, and in order to compensate for that, they automated the shit out of him. At times, this game is simpler than Sonic Dash. Sonic Dash! Sonic Dash! I mentioned Air Gate there a little bit before, but before we get to that, we have to escape our jail cell, which means fighting Zavok. Or his really big B here. This is one of those times where your speed is drastically reduced. It goes from being a Sonic game to just being a generic platformer. And as I mentioned before, Sonic only homing attacks things directly in front of him, which means these Bs can get really annoying. I also had a problem in this fight with the clarification on what I was meant to do. Usually in a game when an enemy creates a shockwave by slamming it down on a platform, you're meant to jump to dodge it. Not in Sonic Forces though, of course. You're meant to just sit there and get bumped into the air so you can attack Zavok. Jumping when he hits the ground will zoom the camera in, but you won't be able to homing attack because of course you can't. That means you jumped all by yourself and that's not automated, is it? Zavok repeats his 3 moves, that being creating B-bots, stinging, and slamming the ground, until the final blow is dealt, and Sonic proceeds to actually straight up punch and kick Zavok off the bot, which was surprising and I actually liked it, gotta be honest, but then he proceeds to, do nothing. He's even going on about chili dogs and the such, but there's no animation here whatsoever. Actually, that's another thing missing from Forces. Sonic has no idle animations. Whatsoever. He just stands there. Menacingly. Classic Sonic and the Avatar have some idle animations, and Sonic actually has the board fall thing from Lost World, so what happened here? Did they just forget to program them in? All they really had to do was rip some from Generations, and that would be that, but nope. We might as well talk about the Air Gate now. I'll go through Sonic's levels and then the others later. Air Gate isn't bad. Even the 2D sections have some nice flow to them. The only problem with this level is the homing attack bit at the start I mentioned before, and the quick time cutscene at the end. If they would have made it another 3D running section in the place of that, you'd have yourself a really solid level on your hands here. But as it stands, once I get to the cutscene, I just end the level. It's cool to see it the first time, but once you realize all you're doing is pressing a button every now and again, it gets old pretty quickly. It's not even a challenging quick time event, you can just mash any button and complete it. Sonic's next level is Luminous Forest. You can essentially finish the whole level just by pressing boost. It starts off with this really long section where all you do is boost through a bunch of robots in a straight line, and even with just doing that, I still managed to bug out and stop on a puddle. This game will sometimes just do that, just randomly stop your boost. It's really weird. This level suffers again from the automated turning. You'll fly off the edge if you just boost, but holding down left or right will turn you around the corner, no other input needed. Sounds really weird when I put it like that, doesn't it? Turning the analog stick will turn you in the direction you put it, and that's somehow a bad thing. The main problem here is that you only have to do it a fraction of the time, and you're not really in control. You'll go around corners like this in other levels, and Sonic will just run around them automatically. Also, once you start turning, you're like stuck on a set path. It's difficult to explain. Just know it doesn't feel too good. The long-ass quick time event at the end also doesn't feel too good. I get what they were trying to do, you know, add a bit of spectacle with these things, but they've done that in previous Sonic games while still giving the player some degree of control. Quite frankly, here it just feels lazy. Or looks lazy. Because all I'm doing is watching! The level theme is alright. It's essentially just the jungle level from Lost World mixed with Casino Night, so but whatever, I'll take it. At least it's somewhat original. After that, we have a lovely encounter with Mephiles Jr. while running on a snake of all things. But this fight is a really cool mechanic used in every one of his fights, where if you're hit with an attack, you'll be transported to another dimension where everything is more dangerous. It's a pity they really didn't explore this idea further. The mechanic's cool, but the alternate dimension is always just the exact same place with different obstacles, whether that be like rolling spike balls or giant missiles. Again, still a neat idea, I just wish it could have been explored a little further. Also, why is Infinite so huge here? Anyone else notice that? Sonic's next stage is Sunset Heights. It starts out quite strong. If it didn't have the stupid automation shit, I'd actually call this a good stage. It does devolve into 2D halfway through though, and it doesn't go back to 3D. And to be honest, you can skip a good chunk of that just by flying with the boost. You might have noticed all the collectibles in the levels by now. You've got the red rings back from Generations, Colors, and Lost World, the bingo numbers from Lost World, although Heroes did it first, so I'm going to call them bingo numbers, and finally the moon medals, which I'm assuming are a reference to Unleashed, but they're all really small and silver, which makes them really hard to see in the levels. They also don't actually function like the moon medals did. Instead, you have a set time to collect 5 of them, and they're always really close to one another. Essentially just the bingo numbers with an extra step. Now, I like collectibles in any platformer, or really any game at all. The red rings are nice, but they unlock certain extra stages, which function more like the extra acts from Sonic Colors, being that they're just previous levels with blocks all through them, which is pretty lazy in itself, but whatever, they're extra, I guess. But these stages are also where you'll really know that Sonic's physics are screwed. This section here is the hardest part of the game. I'm not fucking kidding. This here, jumping from platform to platform, it's the most challenging part of this game. Even without the robots flying above, it's still incredibly hard to do. And that's downright depressing in a fucking platformer. Now, finding the red rings in a stage is different to that of other Sonic games. Because the stages are so easy to beat and there's really not that much exploring to do, they spread them out mostly in the places where you'll go if you fail jumps, or if you don't get to the higher paths. Yeah, that's right, if you play the game well, you will barely see any red rings whatsoever. It's quite stupid, frankly. I remember in Colors where you had to specifically look around for them, utilizing color powers and the such to get at them. It made sense in that game to have them, but here it's more like, oh, I didn't take the lower path, so I didn't find any red rings. The stages just simply aren't big enough to warrant putting them in. Them or the other collectibles for that matter. Now, collecting all the red rings in a stage will let you collect the bingo numbers. They're not visible until you do so. I guess this was Sega's way of making the game replayable. I'm putting quotation marks in. Collecting the bingo numbers in a stage means you can now run through it again and collect the moon medals. Now, when I was first recording this, I collected everything as I went, moon medals and all, and about halfway through I stopped though. I realized I wasn't actually getting anything from them other than the red rings, and even then the levels aren't actually any fun. I went online to, check and see if collecting everything actually unlocked anything, and nope! That's a big old no! Not even Super Sonic, who was actually in the game, but you couldn't get him unless you hacked it. So, you get nothing. Well, aside from some achievements, but that's something I really don't care about at all. So speaking of Super Sonic, and I don't even know where to begin with this one. So as I said before, day one, he was in the game. The very first day the game was released, the day you could buy the game, he was in there. He was in the code, he was in the data, fully functional, just not available yet. Collecting everything in the game didn't net you with him, getting all S ranks didn't get you him, so what are we to do? Well, I guess we wait for Sega to patch him in and see how we unlock him then. Maybe he's got some bugs or... Hey, G-Sauce again, RadicalSoda here. What the fuck? So, I've got a lot to say here. Okay, here we go. First of all, if something's been unlockable in-game for quite some time now and is a staple in the series, it shouldn't be DLC. If Sega decided to go back to Adventure 2, and then release Heroes on Steam and go back to that as well and add in Super Sonic, I would be more than happy to shell out a few bucks to experience that. That doesn't even have to be free. But Super Sonic was in the game already. He was there day one, but instead of unlocking him through, I don't know, playing the game, we can just click a button and now we can play as him right away. Wasn't he a reward? For again, playing the game? Now it's not too bad. It is free after all. For the first month. That's right, folks! After the first month, you too can download Super Sonic for the low price of $2 American. These $2 American get you this amazing feature already in the game from launch, just fenced off so they can release it with a price tag. Day 1 DLC. How incredible! Forget about how Super Sonic was available in the previous Sonic games for collecting the Chaos Emeralds. That's old news. That's the last generation's way of thinking. Just click on that old download button there and boost your way to victory. No, seriously, Sega, what is this? Who made this decision? All right, listen here. Sonic Forces clearly wasn't a smash hit success. I think the review scores are justified, especially after Generations. And don't take that, Sega, like that means we want more old levels. We don't! I don't! I'm talking gameplay-wise and level design here. And not classic Sonics either. I'm talking modern here. So clearly a flopped game. Well, I wouldn't call it a flop, but a mediocre game isn't going to sell as much as a great game. So you release Super Sonic as paid DLC to get a bit of extra cash after the first month. But I've got a better way for you to make money, Sega. Now, it's very simple, and it'll make everybody happy. It'll make the fans happy, the critics happy, your company happy, it'll make me happy. Okay, so here it is. Listen very closely. Okay. You make a good game, and then people will buy it. Sonic's next level is Network Terminal. Sounds fun and new, right? Like the computer levels from Shadow the Hedgehog. Well, tough luck, because it's just fucking Chemical Plant again. I get that Chemical Plant is a liked level in the Sonic fandom, but I also like donuts, But if all you keep feeding me is donuts, I'm gonna get sick of them pretty fucking quickly. It's happened with Green Hill, it's happened with Chemical Plant, it's happened with the Wisps. I was surprised Sky Sanctuary wasn't in Mania and Forces. But I guess we can just feel it in spirit, because most of the levels will just plunge you into nothingness if you so much as step outside the automated paths. Also the fact that it's in Sonic Forces Speed Battle, even though it doesn't appear in the main game whatsoever. The entire 3D section for Chemical Plant is grinding on rails, which hasn't been any fun since Heroes. All you do is press left and right to switch rails and the game does the rest. Once you get inside the Chemical Plant, however, it's all 2D from here on out, except for 3 seconds of 3D near the end, and no, I'm not exaggerating, it lasts about 3 seconds. It's got a stop and start mechanic, which really isn't any fun, but at least there's a few different pathways, which you can only access by sliding under platforms, something I'm sure 80% of you didn't know about, because I sure as hell didn't until someone told me. In fact, I think this is the first time you actually need to slide at all to access somewhere different, or even progress in this game. That's right, the game asks you to slide 0 times if you're just playing through the normal routes, and even then, these extra secret paths are only in 2 levels. Or at least I think so, I'm pretty friggin' sure. Sonic's next level is Metropolitan High. Sonic's next level is Metropolis. Sonic's next level is Sonic's next level is Metropolis. It's fucking Metropolis, alright? Hold on a second. This isn't Metropolis at all. This is just Grand Metropolis! Wait, hold on a second. If this is Grand Metropolis, oh, what the hell is this? Wait, it's Grand Metropolis again! Whoa, hold on, this isn't Grand Metropolis. This is just Metropolis Zone! Wait a minute, this isn't Metropolis Zone. This is just Metropolitan Highway! Wait, what's Grand Metropolis Highway? What? Metropolitan Zone? Grand Metropolis Highway? There's so many fucking Metropolises! This level is one of the worst for auto steering, something I already explained before. Weird thing is, I've seen people who are new to Sonic games go around this corner here without a single fucking problem. But little old me, and I'm sure many other generations players, fell off to their demise because this game has been as inconsistent as Sonic's fucking voice itself. I still don't know why they didn't bring back the drift, but if I take a guess, it'd be laziness. Automation screams laziness. They didn't want to make the game buggy, so it basically plays itself. You know, I bet Boom Sonic was planned instead of the custom character at first. The grappling hook and the taller stature really makes me think they were working on putting him in the game, and then Rise of Lyric flopped and they panicked, I suppose. I seriously can't think of any other reason as to why the game is the way it is, especially after Generations. That's the main point here. If this was the first Boost game, I'm pretty sure it would have got higher review scores. But we've seen better from Sonic Team. Heck, Sonic Unleashed for the PS2 had better level design, tighter control, and was overall more fun than this game. Sonic 06 did a better job at making me feel like I was Sonic for shit's sake. Now there's a tag team stage linked to this one that follows this level, but I'm gonna keep off that until I start doing the OC's levels. So for now, let's skip that and just go into Sonic's last stage of the game, which is Mortar Canyon, which makes 7 modern Sonic stages, not including bosses, and it's actually fully 3D. And aside from, again, the automation rearing its ugly head here and there, it's gotta be Sonic's best stage by far. I've played this one more than the others at least. It's got no 2D, no quick time event cutscenes, and multiple paths, even if they are all around the same place and the game automatically strings you along the fastest one. The level slopes downward most of the time, meaning you can just fly over a lot of the stage, but you'll more than likely fall off to your death if you try that in certain places. Still, it's a good stage. I just wish the boost wasn't so OP in this scenario. And again, I'd like to stress Sonic's stiffness in the air. It's fine when you're boosting, but let go of that button and you won't feel like you have any control at all. It'd also be a hell of a lot better if we could drift. Could someone port these stages into Generations? Is that a thing that you can do? I don't know if the engines will work the same with each other. I'm not even a huge fan of Generations drift, but I'd love to see how they play with no automation and the such. You can beat 90% of the stage just by boosting and using the homing attack the way it is now. Another thing I'd like to mention is how none of the stages are challenging in any way. This is Sonic's final level, and yet it's incredibly easy and incredibly short. I hate to say it, but I've seen better levels from level modders. You remember my Generations level mods video? Splash Hill, Hang Castle, Water Palace, and the Adventure remixes. I can say with 100% certainty that they have better level design than every Sonic Forces level. That sounds harsh, but I'm not kidding in the slightest. It's really quite saddening, really. Sonic has another boss fight with Mephiles Jr., and it's basically the same as the Metal Sonic fight you do with the tag team mechanic, which I haven't gotten to yet. But then that's it for Sonic's levels, and really they're all short and not really interesting. Weird thing is, aside from Chemical Plant and Green Hill, these levels have some real potential. It's a shame about, well, everything else wrong here. Let's go through the custom character next, shall we? This was a neat idea from the get-go. If I was still a kid, I'd probably wet myself at the thought of being able to create a custom Sonic character in a game. Unfortunately, the stuff they give you to work with really just ends up making your character look more goofy than cool. Even when you pick Hedgehog, all you get is really short, silly-looking spines. The main customization comes from the clothing, which is unfortunate in my eyes, as I wish they could have gone a little more in-depth with the base character customization, you know, more eyes, ears, jaws, etc. But whatever, there's plenty of clothes here to choose from. I mean, there's a lot here. Even with the limited face designs, you can make some really unique stuff here, and you unlock more clothes simply by beating stages and earning S ranks and completing missions and ranking up. Really, it's the only reward system here. I don't know if they intended the moon medals and bingo numbers to unlock more clothing and just ran out of time to implement it, but there's lots here anyway, although no sweaters whatsoever for some reason, so I had to repurpose my OC quip seen here into Beepo the Wrestling Clown. The OC joins the Resistance just when they figure out that Sonic's still alive, and naturally they send you on this incredibly dangerous mission to outer space. But how do we find a space shuttle, you may ask? Maybe a rocket station of some sort? A pyramid in the middle of the desert even? Like an Adventure 2? Nope! At the chemical plant, of course! Because that's where the shuttles are kept. Boy, I bet Sonic Team really thought of where they wanted the shuttles to be first and then designed a level around that idea. And they wouldn't have just said, oh, just throw chemical plants in for nostalgia and just put the shuttles there because we need there to be a reason for there to be back again. No, of course they wouldn't do that. By the way, you're not going to be seeing any new level themes from here on out. There are 7 level themes here and they're reused throughout the entire game. Almost like Sonic Adventure 2, but instead of having, for example, one character's level on the outside of the pyramid and one on the inside, they all generally look the same with a couple of exceptions. Now this level, oh boy does it have some problems. But before we get to those, let's take a look at the OC's moves. Your OC's race? Species determines what sort of special ability you're gonna get. The majority of them are passive, like the better homing attack or longer lasting drop rings. In fact, I think the only one without a passive ability is the bird, which has some sort of double jump, similar to Sonic. In fact, the OC is essentially just modern Sonic. God, I hate that I have to clarify which Sonic I'm talking about. Why can't we just have one Sonic for shit's sake? Anyways, they've got the same speed, the same slide, same sort of physics, just now you have a gun. With this gun, labeled a Wisp-On, you can collect a certain kind of wisp in the levels to use as ammo for whatever kind you have, whether that be burst, drill, hover, cube, void, or lightning. Let's just also ignore the fact that the wisps left forever at the end of Sonic Colors. Let's just ignore the fact that the Nega wisps are back, even though they were all turned back to normal again at the end of Sonic Colors. And let's just ignore the fact that they're never mentioned in the story whatsoever. But they're back. The only time anything even related to the wisps pops up in the story is when Knuckles says,
Take this. We're depending on you.
That's it. That's all the explanation we get. I said it once and I'll say it again. Nothing is canon in Sonic anymore. Silver's back even though we shouldn't know anyone. The Wisps are back with no explanation. And now classic Sonic isn't young Sonic anymore, but Sonic from another dimension! And I'll get to him eventually, don't worry about that. Each Wisp-On has a special ability other than its primary fire. Burst can launch you into the air just like in the DS version of Sonic Colors, albeit without any sort of charging needed. Lightning is just a light speed dash, although now it's able to zoom along enemies as well as rings, leading to some absolutely stupid sections where all you do is hold one button to bypass huge areas of the stage. Hover allows you to, well, hover, probably one of the most fun Wisp-Ons. Drill is the best Wisp-On in my opinion, and it allows you to slide up walls and along the floor, although its basic attack is as OP as balls and it can utterly break the game. It's brilliant. Cube is as slow as ever. Not only is it the only Wisp-On to stop you dead in your tracks completely when you fire, if you can call it firing, but its special power just creates a line of blocks for you to stand on. Fun! Void's power lets you teleport a small amount through the stage, but it's incredibly situational and can get you killed without warning as well.
Oh, no.
Aside from that, the OC also has a grapple hook, which is, again, the main reason why I think Boom Sonic was planned for this role before Rise of Lyric flopped. You know, Inner Beam and all. Actually, I really wouldn't mind a proper Sonic Boom game, as long as it was written by the TV show team and actually had competent developers. I personally think the Sonic Boom series is the strongest form of Sonic entertainment right now. I mean, Rise of Lyric wasn't good at all, but it did have some great animation, and the characters really felt like they were interacting with one another. Back to the grapple hook, you can use this to swing on certain floating balls in the air. Unfortunately, the swinging is completely automated, and at times, the game doesn't even let you press the grapple button, it'll just do it automatically. I'm not a fucking moron, Sega, I know how to press a button. The grapple is also used to drift around corners, but what it really means by that is that the OC will automatically shoot out their grapple and you get to very slightly nudge them left and right as they take the corner themselves. Again, I know how to drift, Sega, been doing it since Unleashed. How dumb do you think kids are nowadays? I don't have to buy this shit. You can also use it to homing attack, although it's got a delay, which makes the gun a much better option. Now back to Chemical Plant. As I said before, it's the best level for seeing how utterly broken the acceleration is in this game. I don't even need to describe it, just look at this. How hard is it to make a character accelerate smoothly? This level's also great for showing off the automation. Look at me jump over the dash panels. Guess they're there anyway. Another thing you might have noticed is how almost all of the 3D sections of this are top-down view. Your top speed hasn't been changed though, unlike in the 2D sections. As you can see, Sonic doesn't even have his arms behind his back. So it's incredibly hard to control in these parts. It might as well be a 2D section here because you can't even jump off the edge. Then we have the very lovely 25-second QuickTime event cutscene where you get to press an astounding one button once. Yeah, I really felt like this needed to be in here. Then it's 2D for the rest of the level, and no, I don't count this grindy bit here as 3D because you have less input, again, than in Sonic Dash. Also, you may have noticed that the rainbow rings no longer do anything. They might as well just be regular rings because there's no trick system in this game, not even a small animation like in Heroes. Heck, I don't even know if going through them gets you more points, it's just kind of there. The next Avatar stage is aboard the Death Egg. You get a small, mainly automated thanks to the auto-drifting 3D part, and then the rest is in 2D. And again, I'm not counting that bit at the end because at that point we might as well just call it Sonic Dash. Without the sliding, or the boost, or the turns, or the fun. Now the next stage is a tag team stage, which means you get to control Sonic and the OC at the same time. Unlike in Sonic Heroes where you have to switch between the characters in order to use their abilities, here, because Sonic and the OC are so similar, here you can just press a button and the right character will automatically switch and you can use the appropriate move. The system works better for flow in most cases, but this means your homing attack is always going to be performed by whatever character is currently in the lead, which means if your OC is leading, unless you want to tap that boost button, which you most likely don't in platforms like these, your homing attacks are going to take twice as long to go off. Also, your OC can now suddenly double jump no matter its species. I get that switching to Sonic if you press jump twice would look weird, but actually no, Sonic Team doesn't seem to give two shits about continuity, why should I? I prefer the Heroes approach. At least in that game, switching is a core mechanic in which if you do well, you can keep the flow going and earn your speed. You earn speed in this game like how you earn Super Sonic. You press a button. Now this tag team stage, labelled Arsenal Pyramid, is an interesting one. It has two distinct locations starting off in Green Hill, goddammit, and then moving into the pyramid, which doubles as a weapon factory. Weird thing is though, the outside of the pyramid has its own music, and it's pretty good, but it only goes on for 15 seconds. Not because that's where the song stops, but because that's where the double boost segment comes in. The double boost is supposed to be a big moment between Sonic and your OC, you know, like combining their strengths to create a new kind of boost. Although again, it just kind of comes out of nowhere and Sonic's never had this ability before and the OC can't even boost, so where are they getting this extra energy from? And why do the rings suddenly fuel your boost gauge when they didn't before? God damn it, Sonic Team, you can't even be consistent in the same game! But well, whatever, you smash the boost button enough times and they'll take off like a Mach speed segment, although with less control because they're already moving down a straight path. You can't fail these segments, I've tried. Even failing the QuickTime event just makes them stumble a little and then just take off as if nothing happened. The double boost also changes the music to Fist Bump, the game's main theme, but I want to talk about the music at the very end, so let's skip that for now. Once you finish the double boost segment, the last and longest segment takes place in the pyramid. If you don't have the burst or lightning wisp on, this place is a boring bunch of battles where all you do is press R2 to win a couple times and move on. The jumping is also as bunked as ever, so you might find yourself failing what should be an easy jump. However, if you do happen to have one of the aforementioned wisp-ons, you can beat the level in just over a minute, as the shortcuts you can take with them ensure that you basically never touch the ground. I'll give the level this though, it's another fully 3D level, I think the only other one aside from Mortar Canyon. Actually, no, that's not right. There's another one, but you'll see why I forgot it soon enough. Pity the interior reminds me of Rise of Lyric, though. The pyramid section also has its own music, meaning the music switches 3 times in this stage. You've got the actually pretty good track from when you're outside for 15 seconds. The next 15 seconds you're forced to listen to Fist Bump, and then the rest is... well, it's alright, I guess. It's definitely not good, but it'll do for an industrial setting. It's quite repetitive, really. It almost sounds like rave music. When the demo for this level was released, a lot of people thought it started halfway through the level. I was hoping for that, as again, the outside track is pretty good, but nope. Really, really weird. Why spend so much money composing a track just to use it for 15 seconds? Also, I failed to mention this earlier, but even with the game switching to fully 3D in some levels, you still can't move the camera. At all. I get why you can't move it in colors, but these 3 games? Now, this is a $40 game for some reason, right? Of course it won't have the polish we've seen in a regularly priced game. Well, I'd probably be a little more lenient on it if that were true. Well, you see, here in New Zealand, and this is on Steam, so there's really no excuse here, the game is $70, which translates to around $50 US. Why the price hike here? Did any other countries get screwed over with this too? Let me know. Anyway, the next Avatar stage is Park Avenue, which is essentially just Sonic City stage with an extra bit at the end. It's alright, I mean there's a lot of auto grapples on this level too for some reason. The next level is Aqua Road. This level fucking sucks. Most of the time you're just stuck sliding down these stupid things, but you can't even jump. All you can do is move left and right. It's so boring, and then you finally get to do some 3D action, but it lasts literally like 5 seconds long, and it's back onto the slides till the end. And the stage is only a little over a minute long. Even at the beginning, you're not really controlling anything here. You just hold right if you want to go to the right tunnel, and you can't mess it up if you're doing so because of all the auto steering in the dash panels. Just look at the amount of these fucking things, and you just end up in the same place anyway. It's pointless. The next level is Grand Metropolis! It's got an interesting gravity switching mechanic thanks to Mephiles Jr. here, who's messing with you throughout the level. And it's alright. It's not a great level. Again, none of these levels are great because of the automation, but it's alright. Then we have a boss fight with Mephiles Jr. and do yourself a favor here and just use the Cube Wisp. You can beat him in under 30 seconds with that. Don't do what I did and spend weeks whittling him down with the Lightning Whip. The next level is a tag team stage. This time it's a boss fight against Metal Sonic, where a surprise attack is flung on us by none other than the Death Egg robot. Gee, that thing is fast! Of course, we don't actually get to fight him. That's done for us in a 30-second long cutscene. After that, the fight with Metal Sonic begins, taking place on the longest bridge in the world. Seriously, this thing just never ends. It's a cool idea, but it's not challenging in the least. Metal Sonic will literally just hover there waiting for you to attack him. The next level is Guardian Rock, or should I say Green Hill again. This level sucks too, not because it's all in 2D, and no, the quick-step bit at the end doesn't count, but because your OC, like Sonic, controls like ass, which makes the not even that precise platforming really fucking difficult. I really shouldn't have a problem jumping on the platforms in your platform game, Sega. Really. I shouldn't. In Generations, Sonic controlled like ass too, but at least there I could land on the goddamn platforms. I also figured out that you can fly in the ground with the hover wisp here. That's interesting. It's rare that you actually get to see any glitches in this game thanks to the huge amount of automation. The next OC stage is a tag team one called Null Space. Remember when I said that Sonic stage in Grand Metropolis? Stop! In Metropolis linked to another stage? Well, this is it. Infinite sucks Sonic and your OC into another dimension where nothing exists called Null Space. It's a really neat idea for a stage. Oh man, we're stuck in Null Space. We gotta find a way. Oh, we made it out already.
What's up, everyone? I missed this place.
Oh, really, Sonic? Man, you must really love it here then, because you were gone for 15 seconds! You don't even get to control anything here, it's just a fucking double boost segment! This is the biggest missed opportunity of this game. You have the opportunity to take a level with a theme that no other Sonic has done yet, and we get 15 seconds of automation! Yeah, that's fine! Could they really think of nothing? Nothing? Yeah, you know what? Null Space is essentially nothing. I guess Sonic Team decided to make the original ideas, which were nothing, into a level where you do nothing. The biggest slap in the face here is that we get no cool levels of the Null Space idea, and yet we get 9, count 'em, 9 Green Hill stages! 9! In one game! 9! You even get the climax part of Fist Bump for the stage. It's all like, yeah, you did it! You conquered Null Space! Welcome back! You were gone for a whole 15 fucking seconds! I think Sonic sums it up the best when he says,
Nothing happened. Literally.
Null Space is Metropolis again, all in 3D, but most of it's grinding, so it really doesn't feel like it's... Okay, forget what I said, it's not even fully 3D. Just imagine the outside of Chemical Plant and just turn that into a whole level. That's the whole thing here. The next level with the OC is Imperial Tower, a fully 2D stage, and one where if you have the right wisp on, you can bypass everything and beat the stage without pretty much ever needing to touch the ground. That's all I really have to say about it. The only challenge in the stage comes from the crappy platforming again. This level design is ass. The last OC level is a tag team stage with Sonic, and it's actually the very last stage of the game. And it's an auto-run quick-step level with no challenge that lasts 1.5 minutes. Very disappointing. Also, did you notice that Sonic's quick-step now covers a hell of a lot more ground than before? I said it before that now the quick-step is just used to create easy level design, but this just proves it. The quick-step in Unleashed looks so fast and frantic, you use it when you need to. You won't ever force into segments where it's all you can do. It's there for if you mess up and you happen to be in the path of something you really shouldn't be. The quick-step isn't optional or fun in this game. It's forced down your throat because the level designers could be fucked making anything worthwhile. I guess now we'll sift over to classic Sonic.
It's been generations since I seen you.
He's got big shoes to fill ever since Mania absolutely nailed what it means to be classic Sonic. So how does he control in this game? Well, if you've been noticing a theme on how the characters control, you are gonna be surprised. Classic Sonic doesn't control like a goddamn tank. You don't jump and fling yourself across the map. You do the exact opposite. Somehow, classic Sonic has forgot what the word momentum means. All semblance of it has been erased from his mind. Now, when you jump, pressing back will stop him dead in the air. You can even start moving backwards. Now, unlike the Sonic and OC jump, you can actually platform with this. It just takes a lot of getting used to. It's nothing like the Generations jump. They didn't fix the rolling physics from Generations either. Rolling will effectively stop you dead in your tracks. You can now use the drop dash, which is alright, it's good for speedrunning, but there's no slopes or anything, meaning it's just kind of there for instant speed, much like the spin dash from Generations. Speaking of the spin dash, you can't just hold a button to do it this time, you gotta crouch down like in the classics. I only ever used it in one level, but we'll get to that soon enough. His first level is Ghost Town. It's neither a ghost town nor is it spooky in any way. And does this sound like a ghost town to you? Classic Sonic's levels actually have some alternate paths to them, something I was surprised to see. Nothing to rival Mania, of course, but there's some parts in Ghost Town I was surprised to see interlocked with one another in some interesting ways. The next Classic Sonic level is Green Hill. It's a shittier version of Green Hill from Generations. Next. There's actually a boss fight right after this level. Who could it be? We've beaten Zavok and Metal Sonic already, so could it be Chaos? Maybe Shadow? That'd be interesting, seeing Classic against Shadow. No, it's the Egg Dragoon. Again. Was this needed? We've destroyed this thing 3 times now. Does Sega really think we like it that much? Or was it just easier to rip the model from Generations and just shove it in? The boss fight isn't very hard or exciting. You'll hit rocks at Eggman that he throws at you to damage him, and that's pretty much it. You can beat it in under a minute. The next Classic Sonic stage is Casino Night Zone, Casino Forest. It's a casino setting with rocks for floors and walls, making it very boring to look at. There's a total of 1 enemy in this stage. I'm not kidding, this is the 13th stage, and it has 1 enemy. The next Classic Sonic stage is Chemical Plant. It's a crappier version of Chemical Plant from Generations. Do I need to say more? It's got this long, steep slope at the beginning, which almost everyone knows at this point, that you can't even get enough speed to climb this ramp if you're just running. You can roll to clear it easily, but I'm 99% sure this too was automated in some way. Not that I lose control per se, I can still jump and, move around on it, but it's more so that these specific ramps are the only ones in the game to speed you up when you roll down them. It's really hard to test this theory, of course, because of the lack of any other real slopes in Classic Sonic's levels. Most of them are just full of blocks. You can try rolling down certain slopes in other levels, but the sheer amount of boost pads and automated paths make it really hard to find anywhere suitable. Another thing that bugs me about Classic Sonic stages are the sheer amount of invisible springs and boost pads. Why make the springs invisible? If I can't see a spring before a ledge, I'm gonna jump over it. Does this mean that I did good? No, because now I'm in the lower, slower path. But then there's the fact that there's a red rings down here. I guess because they expect players to do nothing when approaching a cliff, meaning they'll go to the top route, which means they'll have to play the level again to get the red rings. It's so bad, especially in Green Hill. I just find myself running into walls because I expect an invisible spring to be there, and half the time there actually is. What, first you don't expect me to know how to grapple, and now you don't even trust me to jump? And your motherfucking platformer? And the boost pads, I don't want to ever see these things again. When I was playing the hacks for the Sonic Hacking Contest, I failed a platforming section in a Sonic 3 hack, and instead of trying again, I walked backwards because I thought there'd be a boost pad there to push me back in the right direction. I was so used to it from Forces. Classic Sonic's next stage is the Death Egg. I really don't know what to think of this stage. It's sort of like the one from Sonic 3 Knuckles, but it just lacks life. It's just mostly platforming, and all the running segments have boost pads just before them, and for the majority of the level you're just stuck on these treadmills. Classic Sonic's last stage, and that's right, he only has 5 stages, not including the boss fight, is Iron Fortress. 2 words. Auto-scroller. This level blows. Classic Sonic is not terrible, he's not fun, but he's not awful. I just wish he wasn't here. I already made my main points in my video on my thoughts about Mania and Forces, but in brief, I don't want to ever see Classic Sonic rendered in 3D ever again. I want a fully functioning, fun, modern Sonic game. I don't want to call modern Sonic. I want to just call him Sonic. Every time Sega tries to listen to the fan base as a whole, it digs itself into a deeper hole. Here's what Sega needs to do. Now, I know this goes against what I just said, but it'll make more sense, just trust me here. Ignore the fans. Everybody wants something different. Somebody wants a hero-style game. Somebody wants an adventure-style game. Somebody wants another boost-style game. Somebody wants a Sonic Boom game. Ignore them all. You need to make a game where it's fun to control Sonic with cool new levels and fun bosses. That's it. Everything else is up to you, but it's gotta be fun. Leave Classic to Christian Whitehead. I would trust those guys with my life. If my life was on the line, and in order to save it, they had to create a good Sonic the Hedgehog game, I'd be fine. I'd be fucking fine. Just leave them. Just let them do what they friggin' want, and stop forcing in Green Hill in every game. But that's all you gotta do. Just focus on one thing, and one thing only. Make a fun game. Not what people specifically want, because that'll just lead to more Sonic Forces. But just a fun game. That's my advice. Just find out what works, and works well, and run with it. Run with it. Oh, that's what Sonic should be doing. The last boss fight. You've beaten Infinite, he flies off to somewhere, somehow, and he's never to be seen again. Eggman gets a hold of his Phantom Ruby somehow. Or, unless it's a different Phantom Ruby. I don't know whether it's the base one on his chest. It doesn't look like it, but let's be honest, the continuity in the series is fucked. So it could be, it could not be it. They don't tell us. So I'm just gonna assume it's the same one. Anyway, he uses it to power up his latest and greatest creation, the Death Egg Robot? God damn it. Oh wait, it actually looks new though. Well, that's pretty cool. I don't know why they called it a Death Egg Robot then. Anyway, you first play as classic Sonic on these purple block things. Not here because they make sense, but because they're easier to program in, of course. And you knock back these rocks at Eggman. Again. So, much like Infinite's last fight was almost the same as Metal Sonic's fight, this first phase is almost the exact same as the Egg Dragoon fight. Cool. Anyway, knock back enough rocks and it's on to the second phase. Another speed limiter style fight where you use the custom character to dodge shockwaves. See, I had to jump over these ones, so what's the deal with Zavok's fight and destroy the robot once and for all? Again, it's not hard, but the bit where he destroys half the platform might catch you off guard. Also, don't use the hover wisp on here. You will spend a long time homing attacking. One thing I really like about this boss is that Eggman doesn't talk once. Not a peep. It makes the mood much more serious, especially because Mike Pollock he's a little too lovable to be a threatening Eggman. Once that phase is completed and you've wrecked the robot, it turns out there's another robot hidden inside, this one powered by the Phantom Ruby. It bursts out and, hey, hold on a second, that's just the Nega Wisp armor painted white. What's the fucking deal here? This boss fight's almost the exact same too, just now it takes 500,000 homing attacks to beat and you can barely see what you're doing. I mean, it looks cool, but like, seriously? Straight up reusing a boss? Or 5 is one thing, but don't try to pass off a recolor as a new one. That's just really disappointing. The boss is also stuck on quick stepping, which means you can't change your jump in mid-air, meaning if you jump at the wrong time, that's too bad. The whole point of this fight is destroying these red globules to get more white wisps, somehow in null space, in capsules, so you can boost and catch up to the white Nega Wisp armor and homing attack him 14 billion times. You can't even really get to the globules effectively because they seem to just spawn out of nowhere. Null space joke. And you just have to try to collect the wisps without getting hit, but that's made even harder because you can't move in mid-air, and even when you do move, it sends you too far and you hit a laser or something. I mean, in Metal Sonic's and Infinite's fight, you could move around just fine, so it's a real shame this one didn't follow suit. Now, this boss would probably be one of my least favorite moments from the game, just from sheer disappointment with it if it wasn't for the fucking music! Holy shit! They may have just one-upped the Nega Wisp armor fight music. This shit's fucking incredible! I got the friggin' shivers when fighting this boss, even with the clunky-ass controls. You know that feeling that you get when you're like listening to music and it gets up to the good part and you're like, ooh, ooh. It was like the first time I actually felt any semblance of anything when playing this game. I actually got invested! The boss ends with a triple boost, which, I'm gonna be honest, I saw coming a mile away, so I was a bit disappointed there, but whatever, the music's still amazing. Speaking of music, let's talk about that now that we're done with all the levels. Modern Sonic has a mix of electric guitar and synths mostly, which for the most part is all pretty good. There's a couple tracks here and there that mix it up like Chemical Plant, but they all use the synth in some way. I would have really liked to hear these tracks without all the synths, as it makes them all feel really samey. They definitely aren't as good as the Generations music or Colors or Heroes, but they're good. It's nice that they didn't remix Green Hill and Chemical Plant again for the billionth time. Some of my favorite tracks include, Egg Gate, the outside of Arsenal Pyramid, even though we only get to hear 15 seconds of it in the game, and of course, the Death Egg Robot. Its third phase anyway. The main problem I have with modern Sonic's music is that we barely get to hear any of it. The musical pieces go on for 3 times longer than the stages last, and in Arsenal Pyramid's case, it goes on for many, many, many times longer. I also like Null Space's music, and not when you're in Null Space, but the short loop of fist bump that plays when you exit it. I don't really like the start of the real song, but this part here is really nice. It's like a punch in the face. It's just a BAM! We can show the world what we can do. I mean, I've given fist bump some shit in the past, but I guess you could say I'm developing Stockholm syndrome for it. I'm getting the opposite feeling with the game itself, though. The more I play it, the more frustrated I get. Now, the OC's music is all vocal themes, mostly performed by the same person every time, bar once or twice. These are alright. I mean, they're not bad songs, but they definitely don't suit the levels. The only one I can really think of that suits is in the Metropolis stage. I really don't have any favorites for the custom characters music. I'm sorry, it's just not my thing. Classic Sonic unfortunately got butt-fucked. Remember the music from Generations? How about from the new Mania game? So what did we get here, you ask? Ooh-wee, like a cheese grater to my ears. I think it's mainly the fault of the instruments used, or virtual instruments, but this sounds like arse. A couple of them sound alright. Iron Fortress comes to mind, it sounds good, although it's ruined because it has that friggin' auto-scrolling segment. Speaking of the auto-scrolling segment, this isn't a good way to increase level time, Sonic Team. You do that by making longer levels, not slowing down an already short stage. We're still not done here though, there's still a couple things I'd like to talk about, one of them being the episode Shadow DLC, which is essentially 3 altered levels aside from Aqua Road, which might as well just be the same fucking level. It's still awful, and getting an S rank on it is tough as balls. I have no qualms with free DLC, it's a little bit of extra game and story showing us what little there is of Infinite's backstory, and why Omega was busted in that one cutscene, even though he somehow appears in the final cutscene, but nobody repaired him. What? Speaking of that one specific cutscene back when Tails is trying to fix Omega, I want to talk about that too. Firstly, we don't fight Chaos in this game, nor Shadow. Might as well replace him with another Infinite and Chaos with the Egg Dragoon. Chaos is bopped on the head once by Classic Sonic and doesn't bother showing his ugly mug again until the very end, and Shadow's dealt with in a very similar manner.
That was a fake. A fake? How?
Now, first of all, that's false advertising. I don't care too much about Shadow, we've fought him plenty of times, but what was the point of bringing in Chaos just not to use him in any way? To piss off adventure fans? Apparently the Phantom Ruby can bend reality to the user's control and create replicas of anything Eggman wants, or anyone. The catch is they have no soul, I think that's how Shadow puts it. So why not use it to make more Chaos Emeralds? Or Hyper Go-On power, apparently that's more strong than Chaos power. Or even Perfect Chaos. Clearly Eggman doesn't need the original to create a duplicate, because Chaos is in the fucking sky somewhere. So what's the problem here? And if these replicas have no soul or whatever, why does Zavok seem so perfectly normal? He doesn't even have the red eyes like he did in the first cutscene, and he's just talking and threatening just fine. There's a big battle near the end of the game, and there's multiple Shadow, Zavoks, and Metal Sonics, and they're just basically brushed aside like they're nothing. Literally, look at Shadow just lightly brushing against them. I mean, whatever, plot holes in a Sonic game, there's nothing new there. But going back to Shadow, just something I noticed, he has no boost animation whatsoever. Firstly, it's just the flying thing he does from Generations, which is pretty lazy already, but there's nothing. It's just a frozen model here. Super Sonic has this too, but it's way more noticeable with him. Just look at this. Actually, a lot of cutbacks seem to be made to the animation. Remember the breakdancing from Generations? That's gone, replaced with an inferior version. Sonic's idle animations are all gone, as I said before, and, well, remember Shadow's ultimate attack? Lightly brushing through enemies? I've seen SFMs with 10 times the heart and quality made by fans. I mean, at least Sonic Team finally figured out how to animate mouths properly, but it really should have been like this from the start. Sonic doesn't even have any alternate homing attack animations. He does the same pose every time, same with Shadow. Sonic Unleashed for the PS2 even had alternate animations. I don't get it. Why does this game feel so rushed? Another thing related to animations, the models of Sonic and Friends. I think it might be time for a makeover. Sonic and Co are all about as expressive as rocks. It's really hard to get any good expressions out of these characters without moving the model's features around manually. Heck, Sonic can't even move his bottom eyelids up by themselves, something which is extremely important when doing any expressions related to disgust. The last time I can remember Sonic being expressive at all is Sonic Riders, which I replayed earlier last year. Just look at this. More of this, please, just on a better model. I could go on. I could fill the next hour with things I don't like about the game, but I've already been very harsh, I know, on a game, which a lot of people think is it's alright, it's an okay game. But I think it's just a lack of focus on Sonic Team's part. You know, too much focus on nostalgia, Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Classic Sonic, and Espio mentioned Seaside Hill at one point, which was probably planned to be in the game at some point. You know, focus on making a lot of levels, but then they turn out to be short. Focus on making an epic story, but then that feels rushed. I think the main focus on any game should be the control. Most importantly, in a Sonic game, the gameplay is just a huge part of Sonic games, and it needs to be the main focus. How does your character control? What can they do? How do they interact with the level? And more importantly, are they fun to play? And number 2 is levels and level design. And this is another huge part in Sonic games, just as big as the control, in my opinion. Your levels need to be fun to traverse through. Whether they be open or linear, or even if you decide to make an open world Sonic game, they just need to be fun to traverse through, because nobody will care if they're linear, if they're fun. And I can't stress this point enough, you need new level themes. You need a sense of wonder from these things. You need to be, wow, look at this place. Whoa! But you can't have that if we're running through Green Hill and Chemical Plant again and again. I showed off some of my own level designs in a previous video, and I did some on Twitter as well, and these were just ones I came up with like in 5 minutes. Imagine what you could do with 10 minutes, or 20 minutes. And give the levels music which suits them, of course. I don't care what genre, as long as it's exciting, and it's magical, and it suits the level, I'm fine with it. If you want some examples, we'll look no further than Sonic Adventure. Sonic Heroes. Shadow the Hedgehog. Sonic 06. Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Colors. No, I didn't mean both at once! Number 3, the story. Now, the story is also extremely important because it's the tone of the game and also the tone of the levels. Like Colors and Heroes are all very bright and colorful levels, but in like Shadow the Hedgehog, dark and gritty. You can also add in the mechanics in the story, like the wisps come in through a story arc. That's how you get your power-ups in the game. Or, I don't know, the Werehog, or the guns from Shadow the Hedgehog. Okay, these aren't very good examples, but you get my point, right? It doesn't even have to be complicated either. I wouldn't care if we had a story where Eggman just rocks up to Sonic and he goes, "Ho ho ho, I have a new and powerful robot, Sonic! See if you can beat me!" And then he just flies off, and Sonic gives chase, leading to some crazy and wacky hijinks. I wouldn't care, but we need some better writers. The people that we have now, they don't seem to know Sonic very well at all. Especially this is shown through just Sonic's lack of any real emotions other than being a cool jokester for the last 5 or 6 years. And Tails was useless in Forces, even though in Adventure and Adventure 2 he was seen to be a very sane individual who would get the job done no matter what. Remember when Sonic died in Adventure 2 as well? Where he died and Tails was like, "Yes, Sonic's dead, but I must beat Eggman because that was Sonic's dying wish." What does Tails do in Forces? "Oh no, chaos! Except my butthole!" It's like, and don't say that's just because Tails has gone crazy from Sonic being dead for so long either, because in the very first cutscene, he's like, "Sonic, oh no! I'm doing nothing! I'm just standing here! Oh man! Hope I don't die as well, because I'm useless." If you can't find people who know Sonic very well, at least get some good writers. Because I don't care if Sonic's personality changes. I don't care if Tails' personality changes. Well, I do a bit, but as we've seen in Boom, good writing can lead to good stuff. Sonic and Friends and Boom are very different to their adventure counterparts, and even yet, they still feel like Sonic & Co. to me, because they're just written very well. Then after that, after all that stuff has been cemented in the ground, then you can add all the fancy schmancy graphics you like, and then you can add all the upgrades and all that sort of stuff, all the extra clothing for the avatar, or all the extra fur physics. I don't know what you do with your spare time, but then if you're strapped for time, that's all you're missing. Just some extra stuff, just some graphics. Having a new and improved graphics engine isn't gonna do shit if your base game isn't fun to play. We just want a fun Sonic game, that's it. We don't care what kind it is. We just want something fun and functional and fun to control. I've said fun so many times, it's lost all meaning, but fun. That's what we need. Like Odyssey. Do the Odyssey. I give this game a 9 out of 10.